There we go. So let's take the prayer together, please. And we'll begin. Master of all worlds, highest power, merciful parent of compassion, in your presence, eternal one, source of strength for us, as you have been for our ancestors, we very humbly acknowledge you. What are we? What is our life? That you have done such great kindness to us. Therefore,
place our appeals before you, so that you may forgive and forgive us all our faults and failings.
Let our faults
never come barriers between us and you. And may it be your desire to
hear our hearts.
Love for you.
You listen to
these words of ours, and may you open our encumbered hearts through the mysteries of your Torah. May this our study be a source of pleasure before your throne of glory, like sweet incense.
Shower
down upon us the light of our soul's source and all the ways by which we define ourselves. May the sparks of your holy servants, through whom you have revealed these words to the world, shine and sparkle. May their merit, their ancestors' merit, and the merit of their Torah, their innocence and their holiness stand for us so as to prevent us from stumbling when we study these words. In their merit, may our eyes be illumined by what we study, as in the saying of the sweet singer of Israel, open my eyes that I may gaze into wonders of your Torah. May the words of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart be acceptable to you, my rock and my redeemer. For it is the eternal who grants wisdom. It is from his mouth that knowledge and understanding issue forth.
Na 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 Anana, on page 365. And Zohar is working out this complicated way of aligning and associating the children of Jacob with the divine world as it unfolds. And we have, as we've seen already many times, Leah is associated with the upper mother, Rachel with the lower mother. Leah is the hidden one. And she is the one, of course, who is more fruitful than Rachel. And we left off with the birth of Yehuda, the fourth of Leah's sons. And the Zohar makes the point that the throne was incomplete until she gave birth to Yehuda. That the three children, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi, are in some way corresponding to three of the four wheels of the chariot, or legs of the throne, and you need a fourth. So finally, when the fourth son was born, Yehuda is the completion of the Merkava, the chariot that will be able to bear God's majestic presence. So, and the end of this third paragraph, we write that the 365, there's one line, four supports were established. And then the next paragraph, the verse that gives Yehuda his name, saying now, finally, this time. And then the third paragraph is the one that we stopped at, where after she has the Yehuda, there's a pause, because the throne stood on its support, Batamod. She stood, meaning that she stopped at that point. But here, says the Zohar, doesn't mean stopping. It also means being totally established, to be standing firm and sure. For until here, she stands in unity, enduring, standing, right? Amidah. Of course, that's also the word that we use for our most important experience of prayer. We stand. She stands in unity. From here below is the world of division. So underneath this world of unity is Alma de Piruda, the world of division, the fragmented world, which is our world, right? The world where we don't have complete unification of everything. Everything is disparate, and we have to strive to take the division and overcome division and make it into one. But in the upper world, the union is assured, right? It stands and is enduring. So now we will continue. The Zohar has to work out, well, but that would be all very nice if we had only those four sons to deal with. But we've got a whole bunch of other sons. So how do we line them up with this heavenly array that we're creating? So we're up to now, you might say. Okay. And I'm wondering if there's anybody here who would like to read for us. All right, Beryl, we'll give you a chance.
Thank you. Where are we up to?
We're up to the fourth paragraph, the middle of the page, 365. Now you might say.
Now you might say, similarly, with those two sons she bore afterward. Not so, for those two joined with these, since 6 directions of the world are as one.
Okay, so the Zohar says, you might say, well, if the 4 wheels are completed, the chariot is completed, so then anything else below that is the world of division. So you might say, therefore, of course, so that means that the next 2 sons that Leah has have to be associated outside of the divine realm. They can't be included in the array of divine manifestations. Not so. They are joined with these, right? They get subsumed into the unity of the divine, but the unity becomes more complicated, more complexly understood, so that the unity is not just the 4 wheels of the chariot, but also the 6 directions of the world, right? That when we wave the lulav and the etrog on Sukkot, we say God is one throughout the world, and we wave the lulav and the etrog to 6 directions, right? North, east, south, west, up and down. So that's the 6 directions all coming together as we hold the lulav and the etrog as one. So same thing over here. The 2 sons that are born, Yisachar and Zevulun, they are, dragged along into the unity as the unity itself ramifies in this more complex way. There's a little bit of a difference in thinking of the 4 wheels of the chariot. The 4 wheels of the chariot, in terms of the image, are supports. The Merkava is what is the chariot of God, and God, the divine sovereign of all, sits upon the chariot, is conveyed by the chariot. So the chariot is a support of God, right? Once we get into a concept of 6, so we're no longer thinking in purely divine terms, because we say 6 directions of the world are as one, right? What we've done is we've begun to spatialize the unification that God represents. God is expanding into beyond simply sitting on a throne or sitting on a chariot. God is expanding into becoming an all-encompassing reality with 6 aspects, 6 directions. Okay. Come and see.
Come and see. All these 12 tribes constitute the adornment of assembly of Israel in this world, arraying the black light, fittingly, restoring the essence of all to its sight. All those worlds assume the same pattern, so lower world is consummated like higher.
Okay, so we've now made the the shift. After we've expanded our sense of the divine reality, we now go, and guess what? There's a correspondence below. When we talk about the 6 directions of the world, since you mentioned the world, let's talk about the world. Let's talk about the world that we have here. And in this world of division, we have the 12 tribes of Israel, the Jewish people in its entirety. They are down here below, right? In this world, they are the adornment of Assembly of Israel. Assembly of Israel is a term that we have for Shekhinah, right? For Shekhinah, for Malchut, Knesset Yisrael. These are all terms that apply to the same divine reality. And now we have this other interesting term that's added in this sentence, the black light. right? The black light, the light which is not light, right? The light which is not shining in and of itself, just like the moon can be totally lost in darkness because the moon has no radiance coming out of its own self. So if it's not aligned correctly, it's completely dark, black. But then if it's aligned properly, it shines fully and reflects the light of the sun. So too Shekhinah is the black light, the source of light, the luminary that is dependent on the right conditions in order for her to be able to reflect back the light. Okay, so we below, we are 12 tribes, and we 12 tribes are the enhancements. The word is tikkun, right? When we think of a tikkun as a repair in the Zohar, most of the time the word tikkun means an adornment, an enhancement, an embellishment, an adding on to beautify and make more special the object or the being that's being beautified. When we talk about tikkun leil Shavuot, the tikkun of the night of Shavuot, that's what it is according to the Zohar. That's where it comes from. It comes from we are adorning Shekhinah, getting her ready to unite with her lover, and that's the giving of the Torah the next day. So it doesn't mean only tikkun as fixing something like tikkun olam, what we talk about a lot, but it means beautifying, enhancing, embellishing, adorning. So we are the adornment. We are the ones that make Shekhinah presentable in the way that we act, the way that we live by living out the Torah. We restore the essence of all to its site. All is the assembly of Israel. Why is Shekhinah called the assembly of Israel? We touched on this many times. Why is Shekhinah called Knesset Yisrael? So Knesset is assembly. A Beit Knesset is a house of assembly. Right? We think of it as a shul, place of prayer, but the word Knesset is not praying. The word Knesset means coming together. Right? Likanes, enter, come all together. So the coming together of all the people into this house is an act of unification. The coming together of all of Israel's potencies into Shekhinah is an act of unification. Shekhinah is the receptacle or the receiver or the welcomer of all of the potencies of Israel. She collects and takes into and assembles all and embraces all of what Israel has to give. And so Israel, meaning Jacob, Tiferet, the core identity of all of God's collective energies, she brings them all into one. So she is the assembly of Israel. She is where Israel comes all to get together. And she is then restored to her site. Her site is Israel himself, or Israel's self. Right? She is restored. She's brought back into oneness with Israel through our activities, through our lives. Right? That's what we're always striving to do, to bring back the loving embrace of the two halves of God together. So we do that by pushing Shekhinah along to be able to be reconnected with God. So all those worlds assume the same power, the pattern, lower world consummated like higher world. We unite with Shekhinah, and that's what makes Shekhinah able to unite above. Okay, so now though, we've got, this is brewing, right? This is brewing. We've been able to somehow talk about sons 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we've added 5 and 6. We've said 6. But what about the fact that there are 12? How do we deal with the fact that there are 12? So now we first start below, the easy part, right? The 12 tribes of Israel down here in this world. We're doing God's work, right? We have an important job to fulfill. We're trying to bring a unification of God. We're trying to make a unification between the Holy Blessed One and Shekhinah. So how do we work this out now? So here we go. Yisachar.
Issachar, excuse me, Zebulun.
Right, so those are the 2 sons also of Leah that make 6 for her, right?
Here 6 sons consummated, 6 directions of the world. Sons of the maids are 4. Conjoined with these 4 links joining them, as has been established. So it is written, their hinder parts all inward, although they are sons of the maids, inward.
Okay, so we had this before. So now we've got 4 other children born to Jacob, not from Leah and not from Rachel, but from Bilhah and Zilpah. So what do we do with these 4? The answer is, it's kind of like in a magnetic field. They are drawn in because of the establishment of the 6 strong forces. Then these 4 are pulled into the unification as well, right? And that's the inward. They're drawn in. In is good, out is bad. Since they were sons of maidservants, they had the potential, they could have been a little bit loose and they could have turned outward, but no, they were pulled in and glued together with the 6 sons of Leah. So they're now all included. So that gives us how many? How many accounted for? 10.
10.
Okay, so we've accounted now for 10. But guess what? We still have 2 more to go. So what are we going to do about it? Okay, so now turn the page.
Rabbi Hizkiah said,
Chizkiah.
Rabbi Hizkiah said, if so, it has been said that everything engendered by the lower world is division. Since it is written, from there it divides. So what do you say about Joseph and Benjamin? I don't know, it's just too hot everywhere.
You can't feel the air conditioning that I have on.
I have mine on plus the fan and it doesn't seem to matter.
Well, go outside, you'll see it matters. It's all relative.
That's okay. I can't even sit by the pool. It's too hot. If
Yeah.
you claim that they resembled the unified world, not so, for they did not issue from the higher world. And whatever the lower world engendered, it engendered below, not above. If so, it is division.
Okay, so Rabbi Chizkiah is now an Orthodox Kabbalist, and he's following all of the rules that have been already laid out about how the divine array works and what happens above and what happens below. And he's got a big problem because we've worked out so beautifully one way or another to be able to get all those 10 sons somehow unified together and brought under the auspices and the source of all higher giving, which is Leah. But it's great to do for the maidservants. They can be subsumed. But what about Rachel? Rachel cannot be disregarded as Rachel. If Rachel is Shekhinah, right? If Rachel is that lower mother, then anything that she gives birth to doesn't count within the divine world anymore. Right? That's her function. Her function is to be the last stop in the divine world, and that everything that comes forth from her is not divine, right? Is in the world of division. So that leaves Joseph and Benjamin out in the cold, literally, right? Outside of this whole close-knit system. So Rabbi Chizkiah says, if I'm following you correctly, if we're following, and we've painted ourselves into a corner, we've created an impossible situation, because these two very, very important children of Jacob have no place to fit in. So, Rabbi Abba.
Rabbi Abba came and kissed him. He said,
So hold on a second. So why does he kiss him? Why doesn't he just give him a slap in the face? Or why doesn't he say, you dolt, don't you get it? Don't you? The answer is no. This is a really important question, right? If you look at the note, he's getting a kiss from his compatriot for bringing up a really, really tough question. So usually, I mean, it's good that the note tells us, that that's what's happening. It's very important. It's very true. But what the note doesn't continue to explain is how unique this is. And generally, the kisses are given for new insights, for beautiful divrei Torah. Most of the time from people that we wouldn't have expected it in the beginning, some stranger, some child. We've had it before. Even another one of the associates who gives like a really good, Dvar Torah, really good insight, a new interpretation. So great. So there's a delight, and there's a going, oh, that's so good. That's so true. It's so, such a special extra gift. That's the kiss, right? That's what the kiss conveys. Here, the kiss is being given not for a new Dvar Torah, not for a contribution that adds, but for a challenge, right? It's given for a question, for a kasha, rather than for an answer or a whole new elaboration of the theory. It's given for an attack on the theory, right? And yet that's exactly the point, right? This question needs to be recognized for the strength of its challenge. Yeah, David.
What is the question? Is the question that Rachel is associated with Malchut, so one of Joseph or Binyamin can't be?
If she is Malchut, says Chizkiah, Rabbi Chizkiah, if she is Malchut, then anything that she gives birth to is outside the divine realm. The job of Malchut, the job of Shekhinah, is to take the divine energies and pour them out into the non-divine, non-godly realm. She is the last stage of divinity, out of which comes the creation of the world that we live in. So anything that comes out of her womb is not divine. That means that Joseph can't be divine, Benjamin can't be divine. But of course that can't be, because all of these sons have to be somehow or other corresponding and bringing to bear aspects of the divine. That's the level that we're in. If we say that Rachel is part of the divine, then Joseph and Benjamin have to be part of the divine. But the problem is that the mechanism doesn't work anymore. It works great for Leah. So what Rabbi Chizkiah is saying is that all of the pages that we've been reading until now, this elaborate myth that the Zohar has created, it actually works pretty well until it doesn't, right? And Leah, if we put her high enough up, then Leah giving birth to children, those children can also be high enough. Not as high as Leah, but they can still be, situated within the divine persona. But we've already established rules. And those rules are that after the lower level of God, everything else is a different world, is the world of division. Right? We live in the world of division. So good, we have a very worthy job to do. Right? We have to adorn Shekhinah. But that doesn't make us God. Right? We're helping God. We're the corresponding, personae below that reflect divine personae. But we're a reflection. We're not the same thing. Right? If you look yourself in the mirror and you think that your mirror image is you, you're mistaken. Your mirror image is a reflection of you. So we are reflections of the divine, but we're not the divine. So once we've made Rachel the last energy that is divine, then anything that comes out of her energies are transmuted into non-divine reality. So
what is the connotation of division?
division is our world. Division is that you're not me, I'm not you. Up is not down, down is not up, red is not blue, earth is not sky, hot is not cold. Everything is separate. I don't get along with the other person. The other people don't get along with me. Division in every single way. Ontological division, the fact that each one of us is separate, and a chair is not a bird, and then also political division and life, life division. The fact that everything jostles everything else. So in every single meaning of those terms of division. And division is the opposite of unity. So division is the opposite of the essence of God. God is oneness, God is one, and God is the only one that is one. And everything else is not one. And that's division. So like I said, we painted ourselves into a corner. Rabbi Chizkiah is sort of saying, this looks like checkmate. This looks like this. I have just knocked down the whole house of cards, right? Because if we can't figure out how to include Joseph and Benjamin into some kind of same category as the rest of their brothers, then that means our theory about the other brothers can't be correct either, which means that our theory about Rachel can't be correct, which means that our theory about anything here that the Zohar has built up can't be correct. Rich.
Yeah, so even with respect to Leah, I don't know if you saw my chat.
No, wait, okay, hold on.
But in addition to the chat, so if Leah is divine, then what is Dinah
Yeah, Dinah doesn't count.
at all?
Right,
But-
Dinah's out of the picture here.
But so separate from that, her descendants, are they what tribe, if any?
They were incorporated according to the Midrash, right? The Torah doesn't tell us. The Torah forgets about her just like the Zohar forgets about her. But they're in the Midrash, if I'm not mistaken, Kalev marries her. So so that's she's incorporated into Binyamin, right? Kalev is Binyamin, right? So yeah, I'm feeling a little uncertain about that, but I think that that's true. And then I didn't see that Larry's had a note also. Is Shekhinah the receptacle from both below and above? Correct. That is true. She is the liminal space, the porous space between God and non-God. Right? So she receives all of the energies from above. She then releases those energies transmuted, gestated within her womb into the world below. But, and this is where we're actually this is where we're gonna have to see, this is what the Zohar is gonna come back with. The Zohar is gonna respond to this question of Rabbi Chizkiah, even though it acknowledges how strong the question is. This is gonna take us to the next step. Okay? Okay, so Rabbi Abba came and kissed him, and then he said, go ahead.
He said, this matter is concealed, for the higher world is arrayed in 12 of its own. But come and see, mystery of the matter. From the lower world, righteous one perpetually emerges and enters, entering there, emerging from there. So life is erected in
So he,
so he is erected in this sight, rooted above, rooted below, constantly, forever in the lower world.
okay. So the answer that Rabbi Abba gives, first of all, we have this idea of concealment. Right, what page is this? This is 155. I want to just get the exact language here. Right. Right. So the way it's written in the original is Bechol Zimna Tzadik Be'alma Tata Nafik Ve'ayil Be'ayil Umine Nafik. Right? Nafik Ve'ayil. So this is a key term. We're going to get to it in a half a second. But the first thing that we have to look at is that Rabbi Abba says actually the number 12 is already included within the essence of Bina, within the essence of the higher world, within the essence of Leah. Even though in the end Leah is only the mother of 6, there is a reality of 12 forces that are part of Leah. Okay, so, and that of course, that 12, we need that 12. In other words, the 12 tribes somehow or other come back to Leah. The idea that there are 12 forces, first of all, we have the 12 tribes, but in general, the idea of 12 has some ancient significance in Jewish tradition. What kind of 12s? What can we associate with 12? Usually, the 12 months of the year, right? Right. So even though we could argue that this is a human construct, 12 is the basis of Babylonian math. Okay, thank you. Good. So that's a sense of some kind of fundamentalness, right? In reality. In Sefer Yetzirah is quoted, is cited in the notes for other things, but this is chapter 5. This is chapter 5 in Sefer Yetzirah. Sefer Yetzirah is an ancient book, although the scholars don't know how ancient. It finally has commentaries on it from about the 10th century, the 900s, maybe even a little earlier. But how much before that did it exist as a book is not clear. Some Gershom Shalom considered it to be very old, for it to be from the same time as the Mishnah, from about the 2nd century CE. Others say it as developed during the Talmudic period, the next centuries, and some people put it even later, the post-Talmudic period. But by the time we have the Gaonim, Sadia Gaon, for instance, writes a commentary on Sefer Yetzirah. So it's already a given book. It's a very strange book. It's a very enigmatically written book. And it uses, and it offers theories. The circle 360 is 12 times 10, right? Times 3, right? Was the rest of it? I didn't see the rest of the note. Yes? Right? 12, good. So yes. Why, and what's so good about that? is a question. But
The reason that's important is because that's the basis of our understanding of the year, of the months, of reoccurrence, of the calendar, et cetera, et cetera. So
Right,
this is all
right.
the stuff that they get from Babylon.
right, is it a coincidence that we started tonight on page 365? I don't know. So, yeah. So 12 definitely has this natural association with time. Okay, David now writes, Caleb must have been 350 years old. Ah, a young man in his prime. 350 years younger than Dina. All right, maybe. I don't know. Back to this. So the Sefer Yetzirah talks about dimensions of time and space and psychology, life, consciousness, and it keeps on alternating back and forth. So this is chapter 5 of Sefer Yetzirah, and it begins as this, like this. Shtemesrei pshutot. There are 12 simple letters. Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Lamed, Nun, Samach, Ayin, Tzadi, Kuf. Okay, so there's a theory of the alphabet. According to the Sefer Yetzirah, the alphabet is like an atomic system of essential building blocks for reality, for the universe. And then it goes Yesodan, and their foundation, Sicha, Hirhur, Hiluch, Re'iyah, Shmiya, Maaseh, Tashmish, Reach, Shena, Rogez, Le'itas Chok. Their foundation is speech, thought, motion, sight, hearing, action. Koishan is the way we have a translation of the Zaya Kaplan's translation. Smell, sleep, anger, taste, laughter. So 12 dimensions of human emotion and existence come in into correspondence with the 12 simple letters. There are the hard letters and the double letters and the simple letters, and these are the simple letters. Okay, then it goes the next Mishnah in Sefer Yetzirah. Goes the 12 elementals, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, etc. Their foundation is the 12 diagonal boundaries. The east upper boundary, the east northern boundary, the east lower boundary, the south upper boundary, the south eastern boundary, south lower boundary, the west, etc. You get it. So what happens is that we're multiplying within the 4 directions, northeast, southwest. We then cut the pie into 3 sections within each of these 4 sections. That makes 12. They extend continually until eternity of eternities. And it is they that are the boundaries of the universe. So now we've taken the 12 and we've also established it as being actually the full completion of spatiality itself. And then the next Mishnah goes, Shtemesrei pshutos, Hey, Vav, Zayin, etc. These simple elemental letters, right? Their foundation is that God engraved them, carved them, permuted them, weighed them, and transformed them. And with them, God created 12 constellations in the universe, 12 months in the year, and 12 directors in the soul, male and female. So then it goes through its constellations, and then it goes through the 12 months of the year. And the 12 directors in the soul, male and female, are the 2 hands, the 2 feet, the 2 kidneys, the gallbladder, the intestines, the liver, the corcoban, which is an inside part of the intestines, the keva, and the spleen, right? And the keva is another like internal organ, who knows what it is. So what we have here is way before perhaps even 1,000 years before the Zohar, we have this theory of 12s, which is laid out in the three basic ways: space, time, and human existence and experience, right? That's the all-encompassing fullness of reality. So now what Rabbi Abba says is, so that 12 can't come later. It can't be simply an additive, sum from a little bit of divine and then a little bit of human and earthly. 10 divine and 2 earthly makes 12. No, 12 is essential to our concept of reality to begin with. So if we have a higher world, that 12 has to be in there from the get-go. Right? But then he says, but come and see the mystery of the matter. We don't see this 12 specifically in Leah. All we see is 6 in Leah. But how does it then become 12? From the lower world, right? The lower world outside, righteous one. And who is righteous one? Joseph, right? With capital R and capital O. Who is righteous one? Who is righteous one with non-capital R, non-capital O?
Yesod.
No. Among these people that we're talking about, Joseph is Yesod. Joseph is righteous one with the capital letters. Benjamin is righteous one with the lower font. Right? We had this already before. So Joseph is the one coming from above, and Benjamin is the one coming. They're both righteous. Benjamin takes over after Joseph disappears, remember? And he continues the righteous life that Joseph was supposed to exemplify. But Benjamin is from below. And righteous one with a capital R and an O is from within the divine realm. However, remember, Joseph disappeared and handed over the job of righteousness to Benjamin, and Benjamin is below. So that's the perpetually emerging and entering, right? So going out and going in. Going out and going in is a key concept in the Zohar, used in many places in many ways, but it comes from the Talmudic story of the 4 who went in to Pardes, into the orchard of mystical contemplation. They went in, but only one came out unscathed. So the mark of a truly pure and accomplished spiritual experience is to be able to go in and come out and go in. Okay, so that's the nafik va'ayil. The companions who are the disciples of Rashbi, that is their aspiration, to strengthen themselves and purify themselves to be able to go out and come in, go in and come out, to be able to dance that dance of inwardness and outwardness. And here, that inwardness and outwardness is also applied to the upper world and the lower world, the world of union and the world of division. To be able to go in and out of both of those worlds unscathed, to be able to survive that back and forth. One more note to add to this, of course, is that this is a highly erotic image. To be able, the idea of going in and out is a sexual concept. So this is the way that life is engendered. This is the way that pleasure is created. This is the way that sensation is heightened, to be able to go in and out. So on so many different levels, the going in and the going out is the goal, to be able to do that. So the righteous one is the one who seems, on the one hand, to be excluded from our nice and neat system. That's Rabbi Chizkiah's question. We have made no room for Joseph or Benjamin. And now Rabbi Abba says, no, you don't get it. You don't understand. All of them are actually derived from Leah. All of the 12 actually are coming from the highest levels. But the way that these levels percolate downward, it then falls on Joseph and Benjamin to be the one that can go in and out, right? The one that can go into the divine realm and then out of the divine realm, to go into Shekhinah and out of Shekhinah, to unite from above and to unite from below. Right? That's our job, is we want to unite with God. We want to have dveikut, have that bonding with God. And that's our entering from below. God's embrace of God's self is the entering from above. The agent who is engaged in this entering and exiting is the righteous one. The righteous one is doubly identified. The righteous one is Joseph and Benjamin. That's why they are seemingly separated from the other brothers, because the other brothers are not going in and out. The other brothers are ensconced securely within that divine realm. But what Joseph and Benjamin are is that next mysterious stage of coupling between the divine and the non-divine. And that has to come from the divine, right? The divine has to create that possibility and then open itself to the incursion, the entry from below of the righteous. Who are the right? We're the righteous with a small r, right? We are the reflections of righteousness as it exists and as it was made possible, created by God within. How does this all come out of Leah then? You know, Rabbi Chizkiah's problem is that once we align Jacob and Joseph and Benjamin with Rachel, they come out of Rachel and that's it, they're lost. The answer is even Rachel comes out of Leah. Even Rachel comes out of Leah. So everything comes out of Leah. So it doesn't have to be lost at all. It becomes transposed into that more complicated way of being. But the 12 are already originally in Leah herself. Because if the 12 don't start from Leah, there can't be 12. There can't be 12 with 10 and 2. Even none of it could be, right? The principle, the reality principle that 12 represents has to be rooted in the divine. Once it's rooted in the divine, then it can play back and forth in entering the divine and leaving the divine, in playing both sides. So the righteous one perpetually emerges and enters, entering there, emerging from there. And so he is erected in this site, rooted above, rooted below, constantly, forever in the lower world. Right? That's his whole point. The whole point of the righteous is to be able to sustain the lower world. We don't need the erotic drama of unification and separation in the divine above. The divine above can just be united. The contingency aspect of this. Is God united? Is God not united? Has God been separated? Is all in order to make this world of division, and contingency is the same thing as division. A world of contingency instead of the world of absolute unity, solid, unchangeable perfection. The if, maybe, so like this and like that. That sense of aspect of the world had to be created by God, within God, but hidden. So that's the answer, and that's why Rabbi Abba, just to come back a little bit, Rabbi Abba kisses Rabbi Chizkiah, because what Rabbi Abba is saying is, you cannot play this game in a simplistic way. You cannot simply line up all the pieces, define them in a certain way, and then they all fall into place. There's a fluidity. There's a game of concealed and revealed, of hide and seek, of duality within the unity that is essential to the relationship between God and the world. All right, is this, does this engender any comments here or any reflections? Does anybody want to say anything about this?
So how do you account for Jacob in relationship to Leah in the story? I mean, if Leah is everything, the hidden, the source, etc., why is Jacob such a yolt?
So the Zohar has a little bit touched on that before, when the Zohar admits that Jacob doesn't get it, right? They say it more than once. I mean, that's of course, following directly from his failure to understand what's going on here and not knowing who Leah is. And that's part of, what can I say? That's part of it's necessary, put it that way. It's necessary for Jacob not to be able to know that. Right? The Zohar touched on it a page or two back, using the term, again, a human term. We have to play with these terms and then sort of like translate them into some other non-translatable language. But if Jacob knows who Leah is, he would never be able to sleep with her, because it would be incest, because he is her son. So this, that the Zohar says it before. That's why she is not loved by Jacob, because Jacob senses something about Leah that doesn't fit with him, right? Or that shouldn't fit with him. It doesn't feel right. That's how the Zohar explains why he doesn't love her. Here's why, let him love her. So that's the paradox. The paradox is that if this is going to unfold, then there's got to be differentiation. There's got to be separation within the union. And Jacob cannot be at one with Leah with full knowledge.
But Jacob is the avatar of the Most High.
The Most High is much lower than Leah. If you look at the diagram, right, and I always tell you we should take the diagrams with a grain of salt. So Leah, Bina is Leah. Jacob doesn't come, for another 3 stages down. Right? Jacob is the Most High within the divine constellation that is accessible to us. That's again with Leah. Leah is the concealed, because Leah, as Chochma Bina, she's Bina, right? That level of divinity is beyond our ken. So she's much higher than Jacob, except she's so high that she's irrelevant, except for this very, very radical, attempt to try to lay out that paradoxical reality.
So what does that say about the relationship of human striving in relationship to the divine?
So we were talking a little bit about this in the Torah study for the Parsha. And we noted that we have in the Parsha for this coming week, we have a prayer, person who gives maaser, person who gives the tithes out. After they successfully, they hope, fulfill all of the mitzvahs of giving every single kind of tithe that has to be given and doing it properly, they say to God, look, we think that we did this right. We tried our best. We tried to avoid making any mistakes here. We gave the gifts to the poor and the needy. Now, the end of the prayer is, Hashkifa mim'on kodshecha min hashamayim. Right? So look down from your high place up in heaven and look down on your people Israel, uvarech et amcha Yisrael, and bless your people Israel. So there's this idea that God is God, but God can still care about us, give us blessings, see what's going on. We say in the beginning of Hallel, Mi Hashem Elokeinu hamakbi lashavet, hamashpili derot b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Who is like God, who goes up as high as possible in where they dwell, and nevertheless looks down low, all the way down to us.
So this goes back to that midrash that you drove me crazy with last time. So the most that we can aspire to is righteousness and love, and shalom, which is completion, which is peace, is beyond us and can only be somehow obtained through a gift of grace. And that explains a lot about the human condition, because righteousness and love have rarely ever resulted in peace on this earth. Righteousness and love have created war and strife throughout the entire human history.
Especially love.
Yeah, especially love, of course.
Love is just toxic.
Love of your tribe, love of your family, love of your property.
You're being a little selective. You're being a little, you're approaching this by dividing up which parts of love you want to take and which parts of love you don't want to take.
I'm not being selective. Your Mishnah said that shalom gets left out. So how do you make sense of that? Well, one way to make sense of that is that the virtues that human beings can aspire to are not sufficient to result in peace.
That is not the same thing as saying that the virtues that we engage in are actually divisive. It's not the same thing. Saying that they're not sufficient, I would go along with that tentatively. But I would say, yes, that's right. Righteousness pushes us along a certain amount. Love pushes us along to that desired goal, a certain amount. What you were saying, what I was challenging you before is, no, you're saying, are you righteous? Taliban say they're righteous. Taliban love God in their way. I get that. I get that very, very well. And I hope that you know that I get that. Yes, these things can be horrible, but that's not the only kind of righteousness, and that's the only kind of love. And righteousness and love are good if they're good. So yes, but guess what? It's not enough. It's not enough. Yeah, there's always need for more. Larry.
Well, I'm really struck by your comment about the word hide. When you talked about hide and seek. The
Say that
hide
again.
and,
Hiding and seeking, yeah.
hiding and seeking, which is, I mean, it's a way to look. It's a way of looking at the world. That it's a mystical way of looking at the world, as opposed to, I don't know what the opposite is, but the opposite way is, you know, let's say philosophically or theologically plain and clear. But ironically, I'm struck by it because I think to some extent that hide and seek, that mystical view, is to me more realistic than the other one. You know, it does describe the world it more accurately describes the world that's around me.
So I don't know that this is, provable. I don't think it's amenable to argumentation per se. What's more convincing, what's more an adequate description of the world. Plenty of very intelligent people don't get any of this. This is all mishmash. This is all, silliness. There's some philosopher or scholar, I don't remember who he was, somebody maybe knows. He was a known atheist. So they said, what are you going to do if after you die, you go up and you meet your maker? How are you going to defend yourself? To say to God, I didn't believe in you. I didn't, and this person, a recent guy, he said, I'm going to say to God, I'm sorry, God, you didn't give me enough evidence. So for some people, what's compelling to you is absolutely not compelling to them. And I don't have any Copernican leverage to flip around these things. I think I don't know how it works for people. I don't know why for some people it is that way and for some people it's not. I'm pretty much in your camp. So what can I do? That's
I'm in your camp.
So we're one. We're one. We've got a unity. I want to tell a story. I wish I could tell it better, but I'll do the best I can. We have in this week's Torah portion the Tochacha. Right, so the Tochacha is this horrible, chilling description of human suffering, pain, destruction, death, anguish. It's awful, and we have it twice in the Torah. We have this one, and we have the version that's in the end of Leviticus, the end of Vayikra, right in the Chukosai. So, and they're long sections. So one of the key elements in the Tochacha is God's hiding God's face, right? That we won't feel that God is looking at us, and of course that's what the blessing part is here. The blessing part in the Torah reading is look down upon us. What do we say in the threefold blessing? May God's countenance, may God's face look upon you and shine upon you, right? So the horror of the pain and everything on a spiritual level is what happened to God? Where is God? God is, and the answer that God is hiding is at some age or at some level of maturity, people go, oh, see, that answers the question. But it just, as an experience, it's excruciating. So the story is that I wish I could remember which Rabbi it was, which spiritual leader it was, who had I remember it's a son or a grandson, little boy, who was little, and the grandfather is doing whatever they're doing, they're studying and so on. And the little kid is out playing with their friends. And then at one point, the little boy comes running to his grandfather, crying. And the grandfather stops whatever he's engaged in, his learning, his spiritual meditation. And he says, what's the matter? What's the matter, sweetie pie? What's the matter, little one? And he says, I was playing a game of hide and seek with my friends. And then I ran to hide and nobody came to look for me. And they finished, they went away with their game and they forgot all about me and they didn't come to find me. And at that point, the grandfather starts crying. And he starts crying and he says, that's what's happening when God hides. God is hoping that we'll run after God and try to find God. And when we say, oh, so that's the end of the game. God hid from us, and that's all. That's the tragedy. The tragedy is that's only one step in the game.
That's a beautiful little story. Very nice.
Thank you. For some people, it's a beautiful story. For some people, it's a bunch of crap. So there's no way to make anybody feel one way or the other about it. Yeah, to me, it's very moving. I would never claim that it's an adequate philosophical argument about good and evil in the world. All right, we're going to stop here. Wait, there's a chat that I didn't check on. So 10 is divine, 12 is earthly, and 22 letters is 10 and 12. Very good, except 12 is like the divine turning to the earthly. I would just like modify that a little bit. Good, Yasher Koach.
Yasher Koach. Stay safe.
Mr. Koach, thank you very much.
Stay safe,